In today's video, I'm taking you along on one of my Saturday resets, and this is the day of the week I try and get as much as I can done around the house to set me up for a great week ahead. And there's lots to be getting on with today because not only is the house untidy, there's also a lot that needs cleaning. So we're going to start with the fridge because as you'll see in a minute, I've left it way too long between cleans. Not really got any justification other than I don't understand how people keep on top of things, like all things at once. I feel like even when I'm giving my all, there's always something I've neglected or a room or two in the house that looked like a fox has got loose and caused chaos. Luckily though, I had a free house today and I was in one of those ever-elusive cleaning moods where I just want to get everything done. So let's see how much I actually do get done before everyone gets home. These Saturday reset videos are something I've only recently started making. I've mostly been making shorts, but I thought, why not make it a longer one today? And I just think they're a great way to inject some motivation at the end of the week when you're struggling to find it. Because you get to see someone whizzing around and bringing order to the chaos. And honestly, if I can do it, you can too. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of these, both in long and short form. And they'll all be added to a playlist called Reset Motivation. So if one video isn't enough or the shorts feel too short, you can just click on the playlist and watch as many as you need to. When I first started this channel, my house was just horrendous. And despite the mess you'll see today in this video, I've come a long way. And that's through implementing things like 10-minute timers and random generators, adopting the don't put it down, put it away mindset, or trying to. Most of the time I just forget, but it's the thought that counts. And yeah, just doing things in sections to help it all feel less overwhelming. Yes, keeping things tidy can be overwhelming for some. But despite all of that, my house still does get messy quite often, and when it happens fast. And so recently I've started doing these Saturday resets. It would be Sunday like everybody else, but I work on Sundays. Actually, do you know what? Why am I trying to do what everybody else does? You can do a reset on any day of the week. It's the Sunday dinner though. A clean house and a Sunday dinner sounds like the best thing ever. But anyway, the resets are just to catch up on things that have been missed on the daily cleans in the week. Because let's be honest, with work and kids and everything else that needs doing, most of us don't have time to be cleaning out the fridge or pulling the settee out and cleaning behind it. I still haven't done that yet, by the way. Maybe I'll get round to it next week. But yeah, this day is to do the things that can't be undone in a day. That's my favourite new thing. Getting things done around the house that aren't going to be completely undone as soon as the kids get home from school or as soon as dinner's done. So the fridge, that is my first thing that can't be undone, checked off my list for today. The fridge is not going to get mucky again in a day. And I know people will be thinking, you shouldn't let it get to that point in the first place. And again, I take you back to my original point of, I don't know how people get it all done. Well, I do know, they've got organised brains and routines. I could try and make it a thing that I clean out my fridge every Saturday, but then what happens to all the other things that I need to get done that I can't get done in the week? I just don't know. But if you feel like me and like you're constantly on a hamster wheel that never stops, you're really not alone. And I think a big part of why we get so stressed about it is the weight of expectation, both within ourselves and from the outside world. Especially with social media, we feel like everyone else manages it, so why can't we? What's wrong with us? But really, there are so many of us in the same boat. And I've started to make it my mission to be happy and content with what I can get done and stop putting so much attention on what I didn't manage to. I've started to be happy with the house looking moderately tidy, and I've stopped being annoyed when it doesn't look perfect 24/7. A house that's lived in with a laundry basket in the corner with stuff that needs putting away and dishes in the sink and stuff out on the sides, that's okay. I think I'm starting to realise it's unrealistic to expect yourself to be able to keep up with everything all at once. Maybe some people can and it comes naturally to them, but most people can't. And yeah, I'm a work in progress. And each Saturday I assess the house and I decide what to do based on what I think takes priority on that day. And that has to be good enough for now. Maybe down the line with more practice and when the kids get older, I will become more efficient and get more done. Maybe I won't. But all I know is, at this point in time, I genuinely am trying my best and I'm trying to balance everything. And I hope these videos make you feel less alone in it all. Anyway, here's everything back in the fridge, and as you can see, it's not very aesthetically pleasing. The fruit's still in the packaging it came in. There's no fancy organisational systems or labelled Tupperware for each food type. And if your fridge looks like this too, there's nothing wrong with it. Both types of fridge are good. We're trying to unlearn all of the stuff that's been fed to us on social media here about the way things should look and the things we need to buy to make our homes better. If we've got a fridge and we've got food and we can see where everything is, we're winning. Anyway, please ignore all of my ramblings written on the calendar on the fridge. It's meant to be a calendar. But I've added a new vitamin routine that I'm trying to install into my brain. The calendar's pretty much there now for me to add lists in the morning to remind me of everything I need to do on that particular day. I love ticking things off. It makes me feel like a grown-up. So what I did next was I went round in a clockwise direction, wiped down a section of cupboards, then cleared a surface, wiped down another cupboard, cleared and cleaned another surface. I don't know why, but doing it that way just scratched an itch in my brain. And it's a really good way to stop yourself freezing when you feel like a task's too difficult. There'll be a lot of people like me watching that freeze on the spot when they need to get something done, even though internally you're like, move, come on, let's do it. Let's get it done and out of the way so it doesn't consume our minds anymore. So I like to share little tips and tricks sometimes to help with stuff like that. My logic here is, I find cleaning the cupboards really easy and soothing, but I find tidying the surfaces and putting everything back into its rightful place really tiresome. I don't know why, but it's just how I am. So it's do a little bit of something I enjoy doing, then clear a surface. Then it's back to doing something I find soothing. And you're going back and forth in these quick bursts. And you're also going around in a circular direction so that you can look back at the section you've already done and it gives you that boost. Just makes it easier. I'm not doing a proper clean of these surfaces because honestly, I don't have time. And in my mind, there are more important things that I need to be getting on with today. So it was a quick lift of the appliances, wipe under them, and that was that. I was using an antibacterial cleaner, and it might not be perfect, but something's better than nothing, isn't it? We've got an ant's nest outside the back door, by the way. They keep coming in a little line looking for food, so I have to be really on the ball with washing up and not leaving food on the sides, which clearly I forgot about this morning because I left some toast out on the side. It was too burnt for my son, apparently. But yeah, I don't know what to do about the ants. They keep coming through a little crevice in the door, and I can't do anything to harm them. I've seen Bugs Life too many times. They're just living their lives and trying to get through each day, just like we are. They're not that much of an inconvenience, really. It's just alarming seeing them. Anyway, another good tip for people like me who are highly distractible is something I call the ping-pong method or the keepy-uppy method. I have a whole video about that on here if you want to go check that out. It's where I clean the whole house using this method and I just show you visual examples and go into more detail. But it's titled How to Tidy When You're Easily Distracted. But did you see those prime bottles in the kitchen? I brought them up to my son's room because he likes to collect them. And instead of going back downstairs to finish the kitchen, I'm going to see what needs doing in here now. And basically, it's all about finding links and following that link and using your distractibility to your advantage. So say you bought some new deodorant that needs taking to the bathroom. You go to that room and you have a little whiz round and tidy up, and then you see something like a cup that needs taken to the sink. You go to the sink, wash that, and you see the windowsill needs cleaning, but you've got a little pile going on the windowsill. So you take everything off, clean the windowsill, and then you've got a pile of things that you need to put away all over the house. So you follow the trail. You do a bit in one room and then follow another trail. And before you know it, a huge portion of the whole house looks better rather than just one room looking better. Sometimes it does feel better to complete a room and then move on to the next one. But often, if you stick to one room until it's finished, you get bored or you lose steam and then no other rooms get done. But that consistent change in environment is just enough novelty to keep up the momentum. You've just got to make sure you keep moving. Remember that game we all played as a kid? Don't let the balloon touch the floor. The balloon is you and the floor is the settee. Don't sit down. Because we all know what happens when we sit down and start scrolling our phone. Nothing else is getting done. Anyway, I found myself cleaning the windowsills in the boys' room next. Another thing that was way overdue, and it's just because I didn't notice it. And also, the toy box was covered in paint, so I cleaned that. And that is one other thing that can't be undone in a day, or hopefully won't be. But that takes it to 2 things I've done today that won't be undone when everyone gets home. I like to keep a tally every Saturday. It just boosts my mood. It's the little things, isn't it? And knowing you're setting yourself up for a good week is a great feeling. Anyway, just had to clear the floor. It wasn't too bad at all. If you've been here a long time, you'll know that at the beginning, this room was messy constantly. You'd rarely be able to see the floor for stuff, so there's been huge progress. Just needed to neaten up this little bookshelf area, which again has stayed pretty consistent since I decluttered earlier this year. And then we moved on to the landing. If you look behind me, you'll see my bedroom, which as always is the messiest room in the house. My room always fares the worst because I just think as long as I can keep the rest of the house looking moderately okay, it doesn't really matter what my room looks like, I just sleep in there. So I end up doing loads of rounds of washing, drying it and then just throwing it into my room. The folding and putting away part has always been my kryptonite. And so it just builds up and somehow spreads across the floor because I'll dig into the piles looking for clothes. And yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's not just a room I sleep in. I do think your bedroom should feel like a safe space and it should be nice and tidy and tranquil. It definitely fills me with joy when it's a fresh bedsheet day and the floor's clear and the cosy lamps are on. So I don't know why I do this to myself over and over again. But as I said, we're working on it, one day at a time. And I always say, progress isn't linear. You're probably sick of hearing me say this by now, but it's so true. Sometimes it will feel like we're undoing all of the positive changes we've made and sliding back into old habits. The thing that does it for me is when I have a lot of stress going on in my daily life or my schedule's really hectic. I can really only process and deal with one stressful thing at a time. And for me, the house is a consistent stressor anyway. And my tolerance for stress is weird. Keeping on top of the house or a busy shopping centre or loads of noise all at once, I'll go into fight or flight. But put me into a genuine emergency and I'll be calmer and more focused and be able to problem solve better than anyone else in the room. So yeah, when something else is going on like multiple appointments or commitments in a day and the kids are being loud and overtired and demanding, that's enough to tip me over the edge to the point that my brain's like, yep, I cannot put effort into keeping on top of the house when all of this is going on. I'll go to do something like the dishes and someone's immediately pulling up my leg and crying and asking me to do 20 things. Or I'll have sorted one room and someone's trashed another in the process. When that's going on, I'm putting all my energy into keeping my cool. And I know that sounds bizarre, but I guess it won't to everybody. So yeah, that's one of the big reasons these days that a build-up of mess happens in the house. Anyway, I took the bed sheets down because I was giving them a wash, and as I was back downstairs, I thought, let's do a bit in the living room. Ike wanted his play kitchen bringing downstairs to play restaurants, so that needed taking back up. And yeah, the living room wasn't too bad at all, really. At least everything has a home, so it's easy to tidy up. I still need to finish my decluttering series. This is the last room that needed decluttering. I started decluttering in January and I thought I'd be finished with it by now, but I've just had so much else on. It's been sunny outside, so I've been focusing on the garden, but I will get to it at some point. I need to, because did you see the toy box in the corner? I've also been saying I need to redecorate the living room for years. I always have such grand ideas, but never follow through with them. Or I start something and then another idea pops into my brain and pushes the other thing out. So I have thousands of unfinished projects around the house. Anyway, just quickly doing the dishes that I collected from the living room. And did you notice the TV that I cleaned not long ago? Well, Ike put stickers all over it last week. I tried to peel them off and some paper seems to be welded on, and I daren't try and scrape it off. And he was so excited with his handiwork too. I was in the kitchen and he brought me in to show me all of the stickers, and I had to be like, wow, that's really cool, but let's not put stickers onto the TV next time. When it comes to stuff like that, it's always hard to know how to react when your kid's trying to be creative and they genuinely don't think they've done anything wrong. I mean, it doesn't really come into your head to preemptively teach them to not stick things on the telly. You just think that's a given, don't you? Well, nothing's a given when it comes to kids. Anyway, I had about 30 minutes left before everyone got home, so I tidied faster than I'd ever tidied before, because I would have been so disappointed if I did all of that work just to leave the mess in my bedroom. And honestly, I felt like I deserved a restful night's sleep in a tidy room, even if it didn't look perfect. Because these resets aren't about being perfect, it's about making life easier for yourself, saving yourself time in the week. Because the less time you have to spend tidying, the more quality time you have with your loved ones and the more time you get to do the things that make your soul happy. I mean, I know cleaning is that for some people, but it definitely isn't for me. Although I can appreciate its therapeutic value, and I use it as a time to listen to a podcast or have a series on in the background. And I often do come away feeling refreshed and like I've had time for myself. So yeah, again, It's reframing things, isn't it? It's important to do, especially with something you're going to have to do every day for the rest of your life. If you're wondering why there's paper and pencils and Lego everywhere, it's because the kids like to sit in bed and watch a movie and draw and build Lego at the same time. And I'm never going to discourage that. People always say you're going to miss the mess when they've moved out, and that thought makes me want to cry, so moving on very swiftly. I just shoved all of the clothes into the laundry basket because that was not my priority today. So we're still going to have a messy corner, but it's better than nothing, isn't it? And last thing I had time for was to clear all of the stuff from the floor. Yes, I did have a chip butty in bed the other night and it was glorious. I sat and watched the new series of You. But yeah, I left it on the floor and didn't take it downstairs. I've been reading Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. This is something I read when I was in my early teens. So I've been excited to read that again with a grown-up brain. Could we call it a grown-up brain? Yeah, I think so. And yeah, that's all I had time for today. And I hope you've enjoyed watching and it's given you a boost of motivation. And I'll be back next with an hour-long Getting the Garden Ready for Summer video.